reading for your, unless I'm not seeing it yet, the slide deck to show. There it is. Great. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming to our demonstration of ProjectDox today. My name is Lila Piggott. I am the supervisor of the Digital Business Services Group within the Bureau of Development Services, and I'll be facilitating our time together. Mike Amai is here. He's a member of my team. He is a business systems analyst, and he's going to be providing the demonstration of ProjectDox. And thank you to Rob Lane from our communications team for hosting this event. Please do note that this presentation is being recorded. Let's jump into the agenda for today. Here is our agenda that we'll be using to guide our demonstration today. I'm going to provide an overview of why we're presenting to you today, what this is about, and what you can expect to see in the coming months. We'll cover the purpose of this demonstration, including how you can participate in the demonstration. There will be Q&A throughout. I'm going to run through a list of items that we'll touch on during the demonstration so you know what it is we're going to focus on and cover while we're doing our live demonstration of ProjectDox. And the bulk of the time will be spent on the demonstration itself, and Q&A will be allowed throughout, and I'll speak to that in a minute. Then we'll have some time for additional questions. Rob, you can go ahead. So we are providing this demonstration to introduce you to ProjectDox. It is an electronic plan review tool, and it's a product or tool that we currently use with our very large commercial projects. We also use it for some of our more complex residential projects and permits, and even some of our trades permits that require a plan review. For some of you, this is going to be your first look at ProjectDox, and for others, you may have already used ProjectDox either as part of your work with the City of Portland or with surrounding jurisdictions. In particular, both Hillsborough and Clackamas also use ProjectDox for their plan review, so you may be familiar with it in that way. The product is the same. There may be slight differences, but if you're experiencing ProjectDox in other jurisdictions, this will seem familiar to you. We, as the City of Portland, are expanding our use of ProjectDox to additional commercial permits for improved collaboration and transparency. In the future, we will be incorporating ProjectDox into our residential and trades plan review processes more than it is currently being used today. So we're going to jump in. We'll be providing you with an overview of ProjectDox. We're going to showcase some of its capabilities and create a space for you to ask questions. This will not be the only space. It's the first space we're starting with, and we're excited to get started. Next slide, Rob. So this demonstration time really is for you. We'd like you to ask questions throughout. Please use the chat feature. We will not be taking audio questions, and I'll be responding live to questions as quickly as I can. In some cases, there may be questions where I need to be able to gather additional information to be able to come back to you with responses, and I'll indicate that if that is the case, and we'll be sharing responses and questions online after the demo is completed within, a few days to a couple of weeks, depending upon how many questions we have to follow up on. That also goes for any questions I don't answer during the demonstration, and I don't know what the volume will be, so I'll keep up as best as I can. This demonstration is going to give you a sense of what ProjectDox looks like, what tasks you as a customer can expect if you are the applicant or if you're managing the project during the plan review portion of the permitting process. This is not a training, this is an overview. There will be communications about training opportunities and training materials that will be sent out at a future date. Let's quickly go over what this demonstration will include. This is what we'll be covering today. We'll be walking you through as an applicant would experience ProjectDox. We'll show you the email that you would receive if you're a new user. We're also going to show you the email you would receive if you have a project that's being reviewed within ProjectDox. We'll go over how to upload your plans and any other plan-related documents into ProjectDox. We'll review a report called the Workflow Routing Slip. This is a great report that provides a lot of detail about where your particular permit is in the process and is an opportunity to really get transparency into where we are. It'll show which reviewers are reviewing your plans, where they are in their process of completing their reviews. It will also give you a sense of whether or not you have open tasks. So this report is one example of many reports in the system that can be really helpful. We'll also cover how to review and respond to reviewer corrections and what those corrections will look like in ProjectDox. You'll see an example of corrections that were made on a plan document, and you'll also see corrections that are comments. There are a couple of different ways that corrections are provided within the ProjectDox product. As a final step, we'll cover how you'll be given access to your approved set of plans. So at the end of the process with us, once plan review is complete, those of you who are familiar know that we go through a pre-issuance process, there's a fees component, and there's getting your approved plan set. So we'll cover how those will be provided as well. As a quick reminder, please do ask questions throughout using the chat feature. I will keep up as best I can. We are going to go off camera during the demonstration to keep distractions to a minimum. It would be ideal if you do as well. If you can't, I understand, but ideally camera's off. So I'm gonna turn off my camera and I'm gonna hand things over to Mike.
Thanks, Lala, and thank you all again for attending this demonstration. Just to give a little context, we are now looking at what happens after your application makes its way into our systems. As Lila mentioned, we're looking at ProjectDox, and this is a software application that facilitates electronic plan review.
Hold on just a second, Mike. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm not seeing your screen share.
Not seeing this right here?
No.
Let me try it again.
I saw it for just a second. We're getting close.
Still nothing?
I see your desktop.
Wait, this one or this one?
I don't know. The blue one.
The blue one. Okay, yes.
I see the blue one.
I think that's what we want.
Okay, good.
I'm going to be moving this. Do you see this here? The new account request?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's what we want to see. This is an example as a new user. You get this kind of message here, which will indicate how to set up your account for ProjectDox. Just following instructions, and after your account is created, you'll be then given entry into your permit. So this is just an example of the message you should receive through email, as ProjectDox uses email for their correspondence. Okay, existing users will get a different type of email, but it will still be an email invitation, and I'm going to bring that up here. And this is an example of the email invitation for an existing user. As you see, you'll have your permit number here, and you'll have a direct link into the project itself in ProjectDox. So you're not going to have to save ProjectDox to like a bookmark or anything like that. Just right from the email, you're just going to click this link, and it will take you into ProjectDox. So I'm going to click this here, and it will bring up the ProjectDox homepage, which is what you should be experiencing here. And this is what you'll see. I'm not going to maximize my screen because I have this weird Zoom banner on the top, and then it will prevent me from navigating things. So anyway, here we are, the Zoom, the homepage. We have our permit number here. So we went directly into the project itself. And projects consist of these tasks here. And our task at this point is to upload and submit documents.
Can you zoom in a little bit by any chance?
Oh.
Just wondering if we can get a little bit bigger.
Maybe I will do this then. How about that?
And then maybe a couple of control pluses.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, and I am going to now accept this task that is directed to me. So we're going to be talking about this task, uploading files. So as you see, it opened up a window. ProjectDox uses a lot of these pop-ups and windows, and they call them e-forms. They're all the same. It is a basically a window though. And so just a reminder, if you do have a pop-up blocker on, you would have to turn that off, disable it, or allow ProjectDox to get their pop-ups through there. But this is how we're gonna do all our work, is through the e-form itself. And so we have instructions here and a video to guide you directly through this task, this specific task. All of these are designed to help you work through it. So before I go through these instructions though, and the task itself, I'd like to call attention to this Invite Others tab. I'm going to click it here. And this gives me access as a customer to allow other people to view the files and maybe the commentary, the change marks of the city. So everything in this permit, I can allow other people to be added on. And it's just, I'm just going to enter their name and email, and they'll get an email invitation to come in here. And so this is very useful if you have like subcontractors, or if you're working with a project manager or somewhat, and they're asking you questions about these files, and you're kind of like, hey, it might be better if you just see the file yourself, because I'm not sure what you're saying. Just invite them here and they'll have direct access to it. All right, so I'm going to go further into the task itself, which again is uploading files. So step one is right here, select and upload your drawings, documents, and reference only files. Right now, we're just going to be uploading our drawings and documents. So I'm just going to click this, upload drawings, opens up another window. And I'm going to click on here where I'm going to be able to access some files. And this is a drag and drop, or we can directly put the files in there. So I'm just using a keyboard shortcut. I'm going to select this and shift and select all of these. I'm going to open, and I'll push it over to here. I can, in addition to that, I can even just drag and drop, right? It just added it on there. So Portland uses PDF files only. And so that's why it's validating all of these to make sure they're PDF. And it validates it with this green check mark here. And so if I'm ready to go, I can then click Start Upload, because all of my files are ready. However, I want to show what happens if I upload a non-PDF. What happens? And so I'm going to click on this file here. Uh-oh, the Start Upload button disappeared. Now I cannot proceed further. I can't go further than this until I take care of that error message. And so it says one of these files has issues. So I'm going to take a look. And sure enough, this last one, I don't have the green check mark. It says an invalid file. It's because it's a Word document and not a PDF. So I'm just going to exit out. And I'd like to also call attention to this. It says orange files are new uploads. And so that's why these are all orange color coded. I'm going to upload these files now. There are these 11 files, and I can verify them here. And we just missed out on that message though that said files successfully uploaded or something like that. So hopefully you caught it. If not, I'm going to upload some documents and we'll see that same message anyway. So again, I'm going to use my handy shortcut here. Just uploading these, again, 11 files. Good. estimate there. I'm gonna upload these. They're all green. The fact that I have this start upload means they all qualify as valid files. And here's that green message that I referred to previously, files uploaded successfully. So I can also verify them here. So I'm finished with uploading my files, and I'm ready to submit this task. I'm done, right? So I'm going to try to click on, oh, I can't submit yet. And the reason why is because I actually I have to agree to this required field. And it says all files for this project have been uploaded. Okay, checked it off. Now that submit button is clickable. So I'm going to click this. And when I do, the task has now fallen off of my to-do list, if you will, my task list. And what's happening is it has now gone to the city for their review aspect and their task. And so that's what we're going to kind of talk about next, which is this next section where we'll discuss plan review and the interactions with the city, because right now the city is doing their review. And what they're doing is, first of all, they're going to check for their minimum submission requirements, along with identifying any like big gotchas that you probably want to take care of sooner than later. However, if everything looks okay, the permit will matriculate to plan review. And this is where various sections will review the plans against the building code. In addition to that, we uploaded all of those files, and we get this handy email that will verify what was sent over. So I'm going to quickly show that. This is an email message that we should expect to receive that shows all of the files that we uploaded. So just a way to confirm later on that, oh, yep, the city did indeed get all of these files. So just a good bookkeeping kind of thing going on. And so right now it's in city review, but we're not exactly sure what's going on, right? With just looking at it from this page. So we're going to go through and look at this report that Lila mentioned earlier. It's called the workflow routing slip. I'm going to click on this reports tab, and we're going to look for that report, which is right here, workflow routing slip. As you can see, we have a number of reports on here right now, and we're still configuring this view so to give you the best reports that would be most helpful for you. We've identified this report as having great value to the customer. So this is one that's going to definitely be kept. So I'm going to open this report. It opens in another window. This is kind of what it looks like. It's actually time-stamped by sequence of events. And so you'll see as I look through it, I think because I zoomed in, we're missing some info here. But as you see, there's a lot of good information on here. And like I said, it's time-stamped by sequence. So you'll see it was up. We went through the upload process. All of these things were completed. And then we went into the pre-screen. That was where we're talking about the gotchas. That's completed. And then it went to the reviewers. It went into department review. And it was reviewed by Department of Life Safety and the Department of Planning and Zoning. And we see that their task has already been completed. They accepted it and completed. And so it says here, review complete. So it's still kind of being worked on right now. But I've identified this where it's saying corrections are required. So both of these sections said they found something off with it. And so we should expect to see some kind of corrections returned back to us. So this is a good report to run to kind of show where we're at, who's still reviewing it. So if this was not completed, we could say, oh, maybe life safety is still working on it. But at least now we have some visibility on what was completed. So I'm going to close out this report. And I'm going to go back to the tasks to see if anything's there. And I see now I have a new task, and that says applicant resubmit. And so that means that the city returned this to me. And so I'm also going to show you this email that you would expect to get. So we're not going to say you have to stay in this application the whole time, right? We're not going to say stay in the software to wait for this task. All you do is just wait for the email. The email will come in, say, hey, hello, Portland, it should be your name here. Hello, customer. Your review comments are now available. Again, just click directly into the link. You don't have to log in, and it will take you right to this page here. Same thing, we're in that permit, and we're going to accept this task. So now the review part for the city is done, and now we're going to be talking about how corrections are made by the customer. So I'm going to accept this task. It's going to open up another window here. As you see, I still have this opportunity to invite others. So even if you missed it that first time, you can still do it later on. And you might want to, because now we have corrections, and you might be like, oh, I'm not sure about this one. I'm going to call this other person who they might be more familiar with how to fix that. So again, we have instructions and a video on how to work through this task. Here's the first step where we can review the comments. In addition to that, we can also even export the comments to Excel. So I see we have 2 unresolved comments. These are things that the city has identified for me, the customer, to do. There's a chance that we could have more than 10 or more than 20 sometimes, in which case I might need help. And so I just want to export this. I might break it up and send it to various areas. And then I might get those responses back, put them all on an Excel, and I can import them, and it will fill out the responses for me. But let's go back to these comments, and let's review what they are. So I'm going to click on this review comments button, opens up a page. This is called the review grid or review screen, where it shows all of the responses or the back and forth, the communication between you and the city. And here I'm identifying the two unresolved comments that we saw. One is called a markup, which means there's an actual issue with the file, with one of the files. And it says here on the comment, please upload a new file. They might have information such as, this is where you would expect to see details such as, hey, that window should be on the left-hand side, or hey, you need a door next to the stairs because that stairs is going to nowhere. So maybe we'll have some details on what you need to be done here. And the expectation is you're going to upload a new file that would reflect those changes. Here is a comment. And so sometimes a reviewer might give an FYI comment, or, hey, this such and such is not addressed. It's an opportunity for communication, in which case you might say, yes, I knew that. And it's actually on page so-and-so. Maybe they say, hey, you're missing the roof. And then you can say, oh, it's on that other file that says roof. And so this is your opportunity to respond. And so we're going to respond here. And I'm just going to write in something and click enter. And that just saves it. I don't need to click save or anything like that. It's recorded as a response. For the markup, I can click on this because it's really hard to see. So I said, oh, I see. It's kind of here. This is just a thumbnail. But if I want to see the actual thing, I can actually click on this. It would take me directly to the file. Oh, click on. It's going to take me directly to the file where I can see a bigger, detailed picture. And again, they'll have the details here on what's needed. I can say, I understand, and we'll upload a new file. Yes. I'm going to save that. Response updated successfully. Oh, I'm going to close it so that I can get back to the other page. Okay, there we are. And now we're back on that task page. I can click on get to that review page from here too. And again, I can see my responses that I already put in there. Okay, so I responded to those. I didn't upload a file yet, even though I said I will, but I'm going to show you how I do that. But first, I'm going to get back to that e-form. It was lost somewhere. I know I was in it, but again, it's a window, so it just disappeared. But now it says the window is already open. Okay, I'm just going to reopen it. And there it is again. So same exact window. We've finished this step one. And now we're going to upload new files or upload files again, because that one comment said, hey, you need to upload a new version because it didn't have such and such thing. And so what ProjectDox does, it does this type of versioning or creating a historical stack of files. And that the purpose is so that the reviewer can doesn't have to sort through all of the different files and figure out which one is the most current one. Instead, they're all stacked together. And I'll show you visually what that means. But first of all, we're going to upload a file that the reviewer said needed to be updated. So again, uploading files has this window. And I am going to upload a new version of the file. Okay, and it's a PDF, so it was green. However, you see it's a blue coloring now. And if I go to this menu here, it says blue files are new version uploads. So I am updating the original file with this new one. And what that's going to do is it's going to create that stack I mentioned. So I'm going to upload this. File is uploaded successfully. Scroll down. I can see that one new file was uploaded. I'm just going to open this so visually we can see a version 2 or V2 means that there's now a stack of files. There's a version 1 and a version 2. Visually, I'm going to close this and show you another method to look at it. I'm going to the Files tab. Again, we see version 2 here. All of these were the ones we uploaded previously, if you look at the timestamp. But this one we uploaded just now, it created a version 2. So the reviewer now can just compare the two versions and see what changed. And it makes them makes their review a lot easier. So this versioning is just a way to organize and organize files so that they can be reviewed in a more efficient manner. So that's what versioning is. The caveat is we need to, in order for this versioning to work, these file names have to be the same. So if I had uploaded a new file but put updated file at the end of this, it would have just created a new file. And then the reviewer would have to look at this file and find the updated file and figure out, well, which one's the new one? Well, now with this versioning, this all in one, but the thing is you have to name the files this exact same name. So that's an important thing to remember. Okay, so I uploaded the file. I responded to those comments. I'm now going to complete this task. So I clicked on complete, opened up this menu. We finished step 1. We finished step 2. We uploaded the file. Here's step 3, some required tabs that I have to respond to. I've responded to all review comments. I did that. And I have uploaded my revised files, and I did that. So now the submit button is working. And it's going to go back to the city. So this completed our corrections process for this time. And what I mean by for this time is this back and forth between you and the city might might take more than one time. It might be that our corrections were not good enough, and that we need to submit something else that was missed. In which case, we'll do the exact same process, but do it again, and until we get it right. The intention is that the permit fits the building code, and so as long as we have that goal in mind, I think that's all we can do. And so let's see, we are waiting for the city to review what we submitted. And if that is okay, we would then get those that process or those files approved. And then we would get access to the files. And so all we would be doing at this point now is we would just kind of wait for the email, because we're not going to be waiting in this software, obviously. We're just going to be waiting for an email that says that our files are now approved. But I will show you just another piece of confirmation here. We do get a message again that anytime we upload files, we'll get a message saying what files were uploaded. So this is just another confirmation that we got an email saying that one file, that updated file I submitted, has been received. So just another good point of clarification. I'm going to run that workflow routing slip just to see where we are. Because at this point, we might even see if it's going to be another corrections required, or in this case, look, it says approved. So this is telling me that the city approved my my corrections, and that I would now be ready for to receive an email that says that the files are ready for download. And so once I get that email, I will show it to you right now, which is, this is what it looks like. Oh, if you can see that. So this is the final email that you should expect to receive. Hello, it says Portland. Hello, customer, or hello, great customer. Congratulations, your approved plans are ready for download. All you do is click this link, and it will take you directly to an approved plans folder, and you can just download the plans right from there, the plans and documents if needed. Okay, so this is the final step. This means that the review process is over, and in which case, and that's kind of what we were intended to show. So I think this demonstration is now complete, and I will now turn it over to Lila.
Oh. Okay, we have a lot of questions. I think I'm 7 messages behind. So let me just go back and try to do some of these things verbally, and I may take this opportunity to lean on Mike's more specific knowledge of the product, which will be helpful. So Mike, one question was, is there a way to easily download every drawing that has a markup comment on it? Going through each sheet individually is very time consuming and cumbersome on commercial projects when you have 100 plus sheets uploaded. And I'm wondering, do we have a follow-up question to that question before we're able to respond? Or Mike, do you feel like you know what you need to know to be able to respond to that?
No, I think I can answer that one. It's so I did mention that download comment download Excel sheet that was available. If you download that, it will show the files on there. There will be direct file links on there. And so when I showed that review grid, I showed that you can click on that link and it will take you directly to the file. So I would say if you have a lot of comments and they are tied to the files, just download that Excel sheet. And even on that Excel sheet, you can click on the file. There's a file link, and it'll take you directly to that file and give you the details. You will not have to click through every single page to look for the comment or change mark. You can click on directly that link in that Excel sheet and respond that way.
Okay, I'm trying to type and do things. Hold on 1 second so I don't lose track of this thing I was just doing with a question. Okay, let's see. When there is an active check sheet, will we get an email notification or do we have to check manually? So there will no longer be check sheets. So that's going to be a shift in language. But you will get notified when there is, when plans have been reviewed, the reviewer has signed off, and the permitting service team has returned the plan set to you for further review. So you will get notified via email. Let's see. Moving right along. Future process, is this correct? Submit one PDF through DevHub. Okay, so the question is, this is my understanding of the future process reading comments. Is this correct? Submit one PDF through DevHub. DevHub sends a link to ProjectDox. Submit single page PDF using numbering standards, comments, resubmittals, etc. through ProjectDox. That is super close, Patricia. Thank you for outlining that. So I did mention earlier, and someone asked that we're in sort of a transition phase where we have DevHub, where you do a consolidated PDF for the plan set, and then with ProjectDox, you break them apart. So it's a little cumbersome. It's something that is not our long-term solution, but it is what's happening now. So what will happen is you will, as you currently do, submit your application through DevHub. That does include one consolidated PDF for your plan set. It will be taken in, the permitting services team will look at it. DevHub won't send the link, but basically a link to ProjectDox will be sent to you. And then you will submit single pages using the numbering standards. That is correct. And then yes, comments and resubmittals will all be through ProjectDox until approval is reached. Thank you, Patricia, for that summary. And then I have a further question. Yes, we do. We are going to require a numbering model. It's something that we're looking at again, but for large plan sets, we really do need the numbers to be able to keep track of things for now. Let's see. So a question from Lewis and Sharon. I'm a homeowner getting ready to convert my single family home to a triplex requiring commercial permits. Will this system be available for me to use? Your permit would be one that would be a permit we would be looking at for using this system. We're looking at which permits we'll do first, and we're figuring out the go live date, like the time that we'll start requiring this. It's very possible, even Lewis, that if you submitted now, our permitting services team might say this is complicated or complex enough that we will be using ProjectDox for this. But yes, in the near future, this is the kind of permit that would go through ProjectDox. And then there was a question, the requirement for splitting PDF plans into multiple individual pages. And I did mention it's really not possible to avoid this requirement at this time. It's something also that the ProjectDox vendor is aware of, and they may be offering different solutions in the future, but for now you do have to do this single page splitting. It has to do with how the markups or the change marks and the comments are associated with each page of the document, and it gets a little bit technically boring, but that is how it works at this time. We may look at scenarios where if a plan set has a very small number of pages, it might be reasonable to manage the change marks on that one document, and that is something that we're looking at as part of our single PDF process, but we haven't been able to determine that yet. And I'm looking at the time. Okay, plenty of time. Okay. When you review the documents, are you including specifications? I mean, refer to documents, not review. Margaret S., you're going to have to help me better understand what that question is. And then I see a comment in here from Anna, our secret BSA partner in this. Let me just make a note, please. I don't want to lose track of this in the comments. Please verify. Okay. Will we apply for non-plan review permits, i.e. commercial low voltage electrical permits through this portal as well? If your permit, and this is where my lack of knowledge will show, if your permit, a commercial low voltage electrical permit, is going to require a plan review, eventually you will be using this portal. You will still apply through DevHub. So just to be clear, DevHub will always be the place you start your permitting process. If you are applying for an electrical permit that does not require any plan review, you will continue to do that through DevHub. If you are applying for an electrical permit that requires plan review, ProjectDox will be a component of that process. In some cases, as I understand it, for some of our commercial permits that are electrical trades that require plan review, that team is already using ProjectDox. Will we get notified of plan comments reviewer by reviewer as they complete, or only once all the reviews are complete? What a wonderful question. For these plans, it will, how do I say this? You will be able to go and look and see if reviewers have completed their comments, and you'll be able to see the status that indicates they're done. And I would highly recommend that. The transparency level here is pretty extreme, meaning that you can see reviewers doing their work at any time, even if they're not done, even if they're like at a point where they're like, I think that I'm done with this, or I'm looking at some stuff. You wouldn't want to take any action until the review is indicated as complete. Again, this is something we'll explain more as we move forward with training. You will not get email notifications every time a reviewer moves their status to complete. Part of what's happening is our permitting services team, who facilitates the back and forth between applicants and reviewers, will, when a certain amount of reviews are complete, or if a review is complete and they feel like it makes sense to return it to the applicant for further work, you will get notified then. But you won't get notified every single time a reviewer completes their review, mostly because, you know, there could be 13 of them on a plan set. So that's just not how we have things set up. Okay. For multifamily projects with multiple buildings, will each building require a ProjectDox, or will the buildings be consolidated into one ProjectDox session? Salem required separate for each in 2018, and that was horribly cumbersome. I don't think we have figured that out yet. So I am going to make a note of that as a question, and I will put that over in this other document where I'm tracking some of this stuff. The way that this works now is, and it depends on whether it's commercial or residential, is this sort of calls into what we call our batch permitting process. And the way that we navigate batch permitting now is we typically do one plan set on one permit record. So we do not require a separate record for every single permit, but it depends on how different the buildings are. So that's actually something we'll talk about more internally. So that's a great question. City wants to receive specification project manual along with drawings for commercial projects. Some municipalities do not want to see specs and will not accept them. I also, Margaret S., thank you. I cannot answer that question, but we can get back to you on that one. That is more of something that our permitting services and reviewer team would need to respond to. So I'll make a note of that one. Crystal says, architects and engineers digitally stamping their drawing sheets. PDFs require locking the document per state licensing requirements, and ProjectDox requires an unlocked PDF so reviewers can leave comments on the sheet as needed. This creates a direct conflict with state. Well, Crystal, excellent question. We will make a note of that and figure that out. And that aligns with another question earlier in the thread about locked documents. So we'll find out more about that. Michael says, will we still need to wait for all reviewers to complete their reviews prior to responding to any reviewer? Okay. With our larger commercial projects, we have a methodology that we use called review windows or review gates. And because there is a process manager with those projects, they are facilitating getting all of the responses consolidated and waiting until every reviewer has completed their review for each cycle. That is not how these planned review processes will work for our commercial permits. We have a model similar to how we do the check sheet model now, where in some cases, let's say you have 5 reviews, but 3 are done and we're waiting for 1. And there's enough activity that permitting services may say, go ahead, you can upload while we wait for these other reviewers to be done. So that is something that we'll be facilitating in this approach. That is a little bit different than our process managed group. I would like that response about specs wanted or not. Okay, yep, great. Thank you, Margaret S. I will make a note of your email address. Much appreciated. Okay. Let's see, we're at 12:48 and we have more time for Q&A. I just looked at my mute button and thought, oh my goodness, if I were not unmuted, that would have been terrible. Any other questions? Wait a few more minutes. Will there be a video demo of, yes, we will be providing a recording of this demo. And thank you, Jenny, for your question. Tony says, when will this be rolled out to all bureaus? Is your question, so let's see. I'm going to answer a flavor of your question and you can tell me if my response is in alignment with what you're asking. So right now, this next phase of rollout for commercial, any bureau that is involved in our commercial permitting review. So as you may know, for Portland, currently, we have a development services bureau, and that houses all of our reviewers who are doing the building plan review. But there are often reviews around that with our PBOT group, with our BES group, with our urban forestry group. All of those people who are involved in any sort of building plan review will be included in the rollout of this product. If your question is, when will, I don't know, permitting from some other bureau be using this product? That is a question I don't have an answer to at this time. I don't know. If that doesn't answer your question, Tony, please let me know. Chris says, is there an opportunity to meet in person with reviewers to do a page turn after first review, but before final submittal? That's a good question, Chris. I think that is something that is offered, but I will note that as something that needs a response. And if you'd like me to respond directly to you, please include your email address. And if you don't want to give it to everybody, you can also, in the chat at the bottom, it says to, and you can select my name, and then it will just come to me, or you can just post it to everybody.
Lila, would that be something like a 15-minute appointment thing?
Maybe. Maybe, but no, I don't think so, because it's reviewers. So I think it's a request to sort of do like sometimes for large, thank you so much, Chris. Sometimes for larger projects, we'll do like a full review. I know that there's been some work also to look at offering that to customers at a certain point. So I'd like to make sure I get an answer from the experts. Tony, I had an earlier question of some reviewers using ProjectDox and some are not. I am talking about commercial projects. So it is true that right now, some of our reviewers are using ProjectDox and some of them are not. So we're doing sort of a phased rollout. So this is focusing on commercial, and even within commercial, we're figuring out which permit types do we want to do first. And as part of all of that figuring out, we are including the reviewers who are part of reviewing those permits. So we chose commercial as our first phase because many of the reviewers that are doing commercial review are part of the group that's been doing process managed review for a very long time. So they're already very familiar with ProjectDox. We are giving everyone a refresher and a new training. So we won't be relying on historical knowledge of ProjectDox. It's never bad to have sort of a refresh on your knowledge. And then we'll also be bringing in staff who have not yet used ProjectDox. And we're starting with vendor-driven trainings, and then we'll also be producing trainings internally that people will be able to participate in and rely on for keeping their knowledge fresh. Let me see. Crystal, thank you so much for your email. Let me go back a little bit. Yes, and Tony, that wouldn't be surprise me if you had an experience with not everyone using ProjectDox in 2021. We are, I think, we are sort of still from the pandemic transitioning between this single PDF process that we put in place as something that we could use to facilitate reviewing permits remotely and transitioning over into this tool. So we are sort of rolling it out both to our customers and internally to our staff. Let's see, missing single PDF process be handled through ProjectDox. I've worked on a couple project qualified single PDF and submitted through DevHub, but has still had to split out each page individually. So Dean, yes, just to clarify, and again, this is part of the transition, but some permits will still go through single PDF for now, and we are working to determine which ones those will be. We also will still have this process of put them all together and take them all apart, and we recognize that that is not a sustainable process. And so we will be working to figure out how best to navigate that. It is part of this iterative approach we're taking and transitioning into this tool. Jenny says, will we be able to communicate with the reviewer via email, especially to work out finicky items? That is a good question for the groups who are in charge of managing this. One thing that gets kind of tricky is when we have emails happening outside of the product is then there isn't visibility for other people who may have to come in and substitute for a reviewer, for example. I know this is something that people certainly still want to be available, and via phone as well is a desire on the reviewer side for these sorts of finicky items. So that is something we're talking more about internally to figure out how best to navigate that. Rebecca says, just confirming this system, ProjectDox, is live and ready for use on commercial projects now. Let me answer that first. This system is being used for some commercial projects now. This system will be used for more commercial projects in the near future. You will know it's being used because you will get invited to ProjectDox and they'll be like, hey, submit your stuff in this tool. We're getting more documentation and training out. So if you're not currently in ProjectDox and you haven't had projects in ProjectDox yet, it depends on what sort of projects you're doing and whether they'll be part of this first phase. And then the question was, are small TI projects still using the single PDF email process? And again, I cannot remember what TI projects are. Small TI. I can't remember what I'm looking. Tenant improvement. Tenant improvement, which we think of as alterations generally internally. Again, we're looking at sort of a rolling approach to this. So TI will be on the list, but it's that qualifier of small, which is one that we internally are working to do better definition around so that our customers externally have a sense of what that means. Alteration permits will be coming, but they are not going to be, it's very unlikely they'll be part of this first phase of the rollout for commercial. Tony says, why is it taking so long? Like I said, I had this experience in summer, fall 2021. Oh, like why is it taking so long to roll out ProjectDox, Tony? Is that your question? That is probably your question. It's a wonderful question. We implemented ProjectDox quite a long time ago with our larger commercial permits. I think that, and I think that was in 2018. So that's likely why you had that experience in summer, fall of 2021. And are you referring, and you may be referring to training or just the implementation of this tool overall. I think it has to do with having a lot of work to get people on board with this change in process. And I think that we have put quite a bit of energy and effort into helping people feel more comfortable, putting a good process in place for internal training, and coming up with a plan for how best to roll this out so that staff feel comfortable. It's a big change. And I think staff went through a really big change when we went remote. So while you may have been working with some people in ProjectDox, it was actually probably a pretty small number of people in the context of the whole bureau and all of our functions. So it's a great question. Yes. Yep. And we had to use, submit documents and corrections. Yep. And it would have likely been with a process managed, although we have, as I mentioned very early in the presentation, we have had some permits that are larger or more complex, both for commercial and residential, that have used ProjectDox as well. So this is a more of a global rollout versus a case-by-case basis rollout. Let's see, is the DevHub single PDF process permitting being phased out with the goal of being that all permits will be filed via ProjectDox in the future? That is the idea, yes. Thank you, Margaret, for tenant improvement. I hope I answered your question, and thank you, Anna. And Anna indicates mostly FPP, which is, and Anna, I don't know if you want to speak to that, but maybe that's around tenant improvement. Again, alterations are going to be part of this rollout, but they probably will not be the first group that we look at. We'll be focusing on, it is likely we'll be focusing on new construction and additions. Any other questions? We've got 2 minutes. Okay. Thanks, Rob. Okay. So thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you taking this time out of what is likely a very busy day for you in the middle of the workday or working through your lunch. So thanks so much for coming. And we're looking forward to continuing to engage with you as we move forward with ProjectDox.